think you could have got up here and shared your message and met somebody incredible that would come up and approach you. So maybe you should think about it for the next time, because you never know when that opportunity will arise. And on that bombshell, I'm going to hand you over to Didem, who's been very patient here, who's going to tell us about the future of learning in the metaverse. So over to you, Didem. Warm round of applause. Come on, folks.
Thank you. I think I'm okay. You can hear me, right? Wonderful to be here. I'm Didem Un Ates with Microsoft. I focus on our large data, AI, analytics, and metaverse customers, especially in education. And I'm absolutely delighted to be here to get your feedback into our thinking. And also, let's have a discussion. I genuinely would love to welcome your questions. I would love to start with this quote that I find extremely meaningful. The only person who is educated is the one who has learned how to learn and how to change. And that's, I think, the essence of this event as a whole. I genuinely believe that education is the ultimate magic wand to realize human potential. I say that because I pretty much owe all my life today being able to live in the city, have my family, have the job that I have, everything to my education. I was fortunate to have a good education, and I would love to give that opportunity to everyone I can reach. And why, in addition to why, me being an example of it, a few additional reasons as to why I'm such a huge believer in EdTech and education, and especially now, education in the metaverse, is I come from a family of educators. I have an amazing child who's neurodiverse. He's doing amazingly well academically and this and that, but he gives me an opportunity to think differently from different perspectives about how learning and teaching can be. So I'm incredibly grateful to him. And during all my career in disruptive technologies, about 10 years in Microsoft, 8-9 years with Motorola and various management consulting companies, I have always had several social impact volunteer projects about education, digital upskilling, or EdTech. It's really, really very close to my heart. I'm currently on the board of an education trust that helps about 16,000 students in underprivileged areas in the UK. And I have led or influenced several global programs, especially again about digital upskilling, but also making sure these technologies are more inclusive, more diverse. For example, we started off about 5 years ago in 2018 in Athens, in Nasia's country, hosting hackathons for high school girls. So Girls in AI hackathons, it was just a volunteer project. It became a global program that Microsoft decided to have in every subsidiary. And then our partners and customers came on board, like Accenture, KPMG, Avanade, etc. And it became both a bottom-up and top-down program to move the needle, diversity needle in AI and metaverse and so on. And most importantly, the girls who graduated from those hackathons actually started hosting them in their own high schools. And as I mentioned, I always had that passion, but it became part of my big focus of my charter, I should say, last year. So it's fair to say that I've been having a boot camp, on-the-job boot camp about this. So, sorry. As I mentioned, I genuinely feel whole in my job when I am giving back to the society in a positive way. And as all these programs and so on, I don't think any of them are enough, but at least feeling that I have done my best to move this needle makes me happy. And I'm incredibly grateful for you to be here with me on this journey as well. So right now, as all of you would agree, there's a huge change in technology. These XR, metaverse, AI, supercomputing, they're all obviously taking accelerating at a huge pace. Users, companies, enterprises are adopting XR very rapidly. As part of my day job, I sit down with chief data officers, chief AI officers, or metaverse officers for that matter, to co-create our joint roadmaps. So it could be 6 months, anywhere up to 10 years. It's a fascinating job because you have to think, okay, in 10 years probably, humans will be less intelligent than machines. This is Didem speaking, by the way. It's not a Microsoft statement, but pretty much everything is saying that, indicating that. So how are you going to prepare a joint roadmap in such a world? And of course, thank goodness, our societal expectations are increasing, which is fantastic news. We are becoming more aware of the positive influences as well as the risks of these technologies. As I mentioned, until recently, I have been across all industries. So I see these patterns, we see these patterns. In healthcare, about a third already uses virtual agents. In retail, which is one of the most advanced industries in Metaverse, in terms of Metaverse especially, a quarter already uses, of course, computer vision. In FSI, financial services and insurance, a third already uses natural language understanding. And manufacturing, again, one of the most advanced Metaverse spaces, a quarter already uses automation and robotics. So, and this is only, there is only one way the water will flow. So this will only increase. And the good thing is, so is education industry. I'm not sure, do we have any educators in the room? Or EdTech, no, kind of. I think those of us close to this industry would agree that it's very fragmented and usually a bit of a tech laggard. But I'm seeing firsthand that there is actually an amazing quiet acceleration of Metaverse. I think we are at a very, very exciting period for education. So if we look at some numbers, and this is respect to Vantage Market Research, I don't want to be disrespectful to any researcher or any data, but I do love this quote by saying, "In God we trust, all others bring data." There is a bit of, these numbers could change, but the important thing is there is a huge trend here. And that trend is this is taking off. So I would love to talk a little bit about why we think this is so successful or taking off so fast. So we are seeing, excuse me, the fastest growing region is Asia, and the largest, let's say, market share seems to be in the Americas at the moment. But I'm sure you've heard, 100, 400 definitions of Metaverse by now. I would just, rather than bore you to death with the Microsoft definition above, I would like to share, when my family, my friends ask, what is Metaverse? Well, it's actually just 3D internet. That's it. And that's why it's so massive. I don't think these discussions about, is Metaverse a hype? I've been in this industry, technology space for 25 years. There are some big waves, S-curves, as some call it, and then there are the little waves, little S-curves. Little S-curves are the experiments. They may go wrong, but they are there to make sure the big S-curves or waves are fine-tuned. And again, my belief is that this is a massive big wave. And it's already taking off in a surprising industry as education. So, for some, I don't think it's this audience, but sometimes I get the question, how does it work in education? How can you help us visualize? There is, first of all, a big misconception that Metaverse can happen only with the headsets. That's not true. Today you can have Teams, Mesh, which is completely available to everybody, and you can experience the same immersive experience from your 2D PC or your mobile or, of course, your headset. If you have the headset, you will have a more impressive experience. That's for sure. But you will still be part of that experience. So how does that work? I have an avatar, I adopt a few avatars, whatever, and then my experience would be different on the same Teams call or Zoom call. I mean, we are open as Microsoft, so we are a big fan of, it could be any tool, it could be any software, basically, metaverse of metaverses, as long as it's all open. So if we look at how that would apply to the education space, of course there will be some classrooms or some rooms like this, or smaller experiences. And then there would be the home, the learning environment at home, or teaching environment at home, that we would look into. And we would also merge the analog content, right? I still like taking notes because I feel I register better if I take notes on a notebook. Some people are still like that, not the young, maybe teenagers and so on, but we need to integrate all that learning and teaching content too. So that's how we are thinking. And I want to go back to something that's very, very important. Technology has to improve the way we live. It shouldn't be technology for technology's sake. Otherwise, it's just kind of a geeky thing to do. So when we look at education, maybe these should have been two kind of different buckets, but students are actually getting disengaged. Why? Because they don't want passive learning or listening anymore. I mean, even if they want to, they get bored, they cannot focus. It's already out of date. And then when we look at teachers, they are leaving the industry, actually. And it's a big challenge. They also cannot keep up with the technology often. And institutions, especially if we look at universities, higher education, they are trying to stay relevant and also financially viable in the hybrid world. So there's all these interesting challenges, especially accelerating after the pandemic, during the pandemic. And then there's the data in silos that is not useful to anyone, which is a huge missed opportunity. And then there's the content problem. So if I give an example from my son, he's going to one of the best schools in the country, yet his homework is on Teams, Firefly, in some handouts, in some books, and he gets confused every evening which subject is which medium, which content is where, and he chooses to learn from YouTube. And that's my parenting problem, but you know. And then there is, of course, the skilling bit, right? I mean, there's so much useless technology out there, especially in this space, where the teachers can barely find the time to learn a new technology and see if it's actually useful in terms of learning outcomes. So these things are very, very interesting dynamics that have been cooking for decades in this space. And I tend to believe that now this education for metaverse is actually fixing this problem, connecting those two sides of the coin in a very, very meaningful and impactful way. What is impact? In my humble opinion, it's learning outcomes. That's what we care about. It's not about being cool or this or that. So because the technology is immersive, it is showing, not telling, the focus, according to PwC, as well as a university in Japan, increases by 4 to 6 times. And then the learning performance out of the assessments, in our work with some medical schools in the US, shows us that the outcomes improve by 300%. Massive, massive improvement. And furthermore, we are able to remember what we learned a lot better. Again, from our work with mostly US universities, we found out that information retention increased by 40 to 50%. I think these are incredible outcomes that we have all been waiting for a while. So, of course, it's taking off. If I give a few examples, University of Tokyo has opened Metaverse School of Engineering. Then I was speaking to the CEO of Victory XR a few days ago. He tells us that they had only 2 metaversities last year. By December, it will be 55, just in the US. And of course, Middle East, Africa is also in there. There is University of Nicosia leading the way with Open Metaverse Initiative and so on. So these are amazing, absolutely amazing advances. Should I play the video or are we short on time?
Well, if you play the video, it's coming out with the panel time now.
Okay, let's skip the video. It's okay, I can share it later. I would like to end by a question to all of you. So this technology is incredibly powerful and impactful for education. And this is, again, I'm not saying this as a brainwashed Microsoft person. My genuine belief is that we might actually have a fascinating platform for teaching and learning already, which is Minecraft for education, in my view. Why? Because there are already millions using this platform. It is safe, it is accessible, it's inclusive, it is developed responsibly. I forgot to mention, I lead operationalization of responsible AI and responsible metaverse in our sales organization, which is about 120,000 people. So there is no chance of Minecraft not being, passing through those impact assessments, etc. So it is a safe place, which is incredibly important in this space of all industries. So I would like to wrap up by this amazing gentleman's, one of my most favorite human being, quote, between stimulus and response lies a space. In that space lie our freedom and power to choose a response. In our response lies our growth and happiness. That's what keeps me whole. If you're interested to join forces in this space, please reach out. I'd love to learn from you. Thank you.
Fantastic. And if we can get the rest of our panel up, please, that would be fantastic.